What up, no? This is another Thursday. This is Knockouts and Three Counts, and apparently StreamYard is having that time of the month, but we've got a great show to cure all that stuff. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about our homies, Potter's Tree Service, who are the ones that bring you this fine show. If you're in the need for tree trimming, log clearing, walnut logging, grass, anything you need, anything that's got to do with it, you can see it all running on the side. Potter's Tree Service is the way to go. They even will cut your lawn now. You don't need Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Check out all the stuff here. Check out the links in the description and enjoy the show.
This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and Three Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and Three Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and Three Counts starts now.
What up, though? As I said, it is issues aplenty today, but we are getting at it and getting down with the get down. We've got the return of our guy, the homie Monteasy, talking about his new album, Erica's Son 2. How you doing, my man? It's been a long time.
Hey, brother. I'm glad to be back, man. I'm glad to see what you guys are doing. Your guys' growth, and man, I'm spirited. I'm happy. I'm in a good place, and I'm glad to be back, man. Thank you for the invite.
Hell yeah, man. Always welcome. Anybody that's new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But Teasy's been messing with us for a while. Last time I think we ran into each other was down probably in LA, most likely, at Mania last year, the year before Philly. So, like I said, man, it's been a minute, but we got a lot to talk about, So before we get to that, tell us a little bit about what's going on in the world of Teasy right now. Obviously, we've got the new album out, but you've been doing quite a lot since the last time you were on the show.
Yeah, man. So obviously, the main thing's been the main thing. If you guys have been tuning into the Swerve City Podcast channel, obviously, youtube.com/Swerve City Podcast. That's still me and my brother, the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. We still got that going. My podcast, Teasy's Table, is recently out right now. youtube.com/@Teasy's Table ENT. If you guys check that out, my episode of Marina Shafir just dropped. If you guys can go to all platforms and check that out as well, that is available. I've been obviously still making theme songs for people. I still have a lot of things cooking in the theme song world for pro wrestlers in the game. So, make sure you guys check those out. You know what I mean? Check out, go to my Spotify, Amazon, things like that, or any of my social medias at Teasy Jones to, check out what I have going on theme song related. And I've been in album mode, man. I just been geared up in album mode lately, bro. So I've been working on this album for so long. So it's good to finally have it out.
So talk to me a little bit about that. You talk about how you're still doing the theme songs and things like that, which we'll get to a little bit of that as you just redid the song for our another past guest of the show and a homie of ours, Shane Taylor. I love the joint that we've been hearing there. We were talking about that with him before we went live. Thanks for sharing that out, Big Shane. But you're still doing the theme songs, but you're doing your album here, like we said, Erica's Son 2. Talk to me about your mindset when you're going into making like a theme song versus like you said, now you're in album mode. What's the difference in the processes for you as far as coming up with the music?
Great question, man. So naturally with theme songs, man, it's catered to the wrestler. So a lot of times I either talk to them or ask them, in relation about who they are or what they want. So a lot of times with theme songs, it's really about them. It's not about myself. So I write in a thesis of speaking for somebody else. So that's really my process, is to kind of be of service to the wrestler or any sport or anything that I'm doing for any theme song that I'm doing. That's really been my formula for all these years. Now, it takes me a lot longer with the album because I'm the kind of person where I'm kind of like in the Kendrick, J. Cole type thing when it comes to my work, where I have to live a little bit in order to have something to write about. I can't just go in the studio and just make a bunch of songs, like unless it's features. If it's features, I can do that. But like my albums, they take time to come out because I have to live a little bit. I gotta have something to talk about. It has to come from me spiritually. So that's why it takes a little longer with my regular projects. You know, this album, the first one came out almost 4 years ago. So right before the pandemic happened. So I'm in a different space now than I was back then. But I've been writing Erica's Son 2 from back then. But I'm like, I'm not ready yet. It's not there yet. And this album came out June 12th, and I didn't finish this album to the last week of May, last month. So I literally said, okay, at the end of May, this is going to be my cutoff time before I upload it and it's out, and I'm going to start promoting this. So the song Get the Money and Outer Space were the last 2 songs I wrote for the album the last week of May. And then I cut it. And I said, okay, I'm done. I recorded over 70 something songs for this album. And my grandmom's picked the songs that made the album. The deluxe version's on YouTube right now. So the deluxe version songs on digital stores right now is 16. It's a standard copy. So that's really my process, man. It's just a different process. I write for my album, I write more of my experiences, more of how I'm feeling, more, how things are going on at the time. So that's naturally how I switch my writing processes. It's easier for me now to write from both perspectives, but when I'm in album mode, I kind of got to chill with the wrestling themes for a bit sometimes, because I don't want that flow or that pattern or that feeling or that enunciation of my voices to translate to album Teasy, which is more of an emotional, more of a different type feeling. You know what I mean? So.
Makes sense. Definitely you're trying to tell more of a story, like coming from the wrestling side of things with the album versus what you're doing with the theme songs and features and things like that. Like I said, I've checked out the album. I got a few questions about some of that stuff as well. A couple of the things that jumped out to me. I mean, before I ask you some of the things that jumped out with me, what do you have a favorite song that you had on this record?
Wow. And you said song, not song, so I have to choose one. I like to answer questions directly. If I had to choose one, it would probably be Lord Please, because I just got out the hospital when I wrote that record. So I went through some health concerns. I went through a heart issue. And right after I left the hospital, I wrote that song. I just got off a plane in New York, coming back from New York, and I was dealing with some heart issues, and I went in the hospital for a couple of days. And as soon as I came back, I wrote that song. That's why if you listen to the lyrics at the beginning of the song, that's why I said, all I know is hustle, circumstance, living the struggles, JetBlue flights, living the night. JetBlue flights, flying the night, uncomfortable. Like the way I was feeling on the plane was uncomfortable because I was having some issues. I wasn't feeling too well. That's why I started the song like that. You know what I mean? It was speaking from the heart. So I say the song that I will pick, the song that's the most meaningful to me on the album is Lord Please, because it's like a prayer. It's like a prayer. And, this album on certain songs has some religious undertones to it on certain records, like 3 records that has some religious undertones to it. So it's, it was a very introspective song. So I would say that's my favorite because I remember where I was when I wrote it.
The story of it. It's funny you bring that up because that was one of the notes that I had put down while listening to some of the album. I said in Glory, you said you had health issues were the biggest battle. Can you talk about that? Well, now you're talking about what you had went through with that. It's crazy to hear you say that because that's actually why we took a hiatus from the show, because I was at home a few months ago and my mom had a widowmaker heart attack while I was at home. She literally was calling for me come downstairs to come get her to the hospital. She went into cardiac arrest, literally as I got her to the hospital. So it's crazy to hear that those are the type of things that you're talking about. And I wanted to bring some of that stuff up because anybody that's been watching or listening to the show for a while somebody that you're real acquainted with, and we'll talk about your album release party with her. But past guest of the show, the homie Big Swole, you know, we had her on, and that's one of the big things that we connected over is both of us having Crohn's disease. So I love the fact that you're talking about real life stuff in there and how those struggles are helping shape what we're seeing in the album. With that said, you know, another song that's obviously going to pop out, and for obvious reasons, you know, you talked a little bit about, you know, Swerve City Podcast and all that stuff. You also had Swerve on the record on the other side. Talk to me a little bit about that song.
Yes, Other Side was the second song that I recorded for this album. That song may be 3 years old. That was the first single for the album. That actually was the first single. Yeah, that was the first single. That was the first song I wrote for this album. So this was around the time when he was still with Hit Row and stuff like that in WWE. That's how far back this song is. But it's been one of my most popular records that I ever had. So, you know, I told people, I said, this album's going to take some time to come out, but the singles that I put out leading up to this project is going to make up for it. So it means a lot to me, that record, because that was the first record of me being a solo artist that was a drift away from wrestling music, Monteasy. And I wanted to make a differentiation of what you get with that. With wrestling theme songs, you kind of get in a certain lane. It's a certain thing. You know what I mean? It's a certain type of genre people want to hear. As in with this album and with these songs, like Other Side was a complete 360. And that was the first single on the album. And then Swerve was like, yo, I got to get on that one, bro. So it was an original version, just me by myself. And then he made the song that much better. You know what I mean? And it was, it's one of my favorite records I've ever made. You know what I mean? If I didn't make Lord Please, that would be my favorite record. But Lord Please, for what it means to me, is my favorite one. But the Other Side is one of my top maybe 3-4 songs I ever made in my life. Yeah. I absolutely love that record.
Yeah, like I said, the other one that jumped out for me is I enjoyed, I thought Glory was a good song as well. That was another one that I was paying attention to with the lyrics and stuff like that. But since you brought it up, you know, you got to tell me. I mean, obviously, I know for a while, and with you rocking with Swerve as long as you have. Hell, Swerve was in the tattoo room with me when I ended up with this motherfucker on my arm, showing us pictures of the pig when we were in Florida with Mega Ran back in the COVID days when they did Revolution down there in Jacksonville and the barbed wire death match that didn't go boom. But with that said, you got to tell me, man, from you watching from the outside and watching from the side, talk to me a little bit about Swerve winning the world title. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on what we've seen of the run so far? I mean, as somebody that's been a fan of his for a while, I think it's dope that he's finally kind of getting his flowers. But for you being a lot more closer to Swerve, obviously, than we are, what are your thoughts on him winning the title and his run so far?
I think it's well earned, man. I think I always told him from the beginning he was the chosen one. You know, I think there's few people in this game that are chosen. I think that he's one of them that has what it takes. You know, and I always told him that, and he always believed it. And it's good to see him where he is. Being there in St. Louis to watch him win the belt in person was absolutely phenomenal. Very emotional for all of us, knowing that all the journey that we've been through, knowing how close we all are as brothers, and you know, knowing that he's kids. That's the godfather of my children, and you know what I mean. I am 100%. I am 100% happy for him, and you know, it's good to see him get his flowers and his roses, and he's going to continue to stay, you know, and around the area, around the top, and be a Hall of Famer someday when he's done. I think his title run's been great. I think it's good because now you're getting to see different arcs of his character as a babyface with the belt. You're starting to see different arcs of his character. Like this whole thing with Ospreay is just a simple, hey, I ain't got no problem with you personally, but you know, I think I'm better than you at this point. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be no dirty tactics, nothing like that. It's like, look, bro, it's like If me and you, Kyle, go out and play one-on-one basketball, I expect you to try to kick my ass, right? It's just, I expect that. I mean, it's not like it's like I know, right? But like
you ain't
just
expecting
if I'm
nobody to
playing
take it
one-on-one
easy
with
on
somebody,
nobody. I feel it.
and right, exactly. You know what I mean? If somebody takes it easy on me, then I'm not going to respect them. You know what I mean? So it's good to see that. You know what I mean? I love the storyline, the way it's going, and I look forward to seeing what he's continuing to do. I think it's well earned. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. He did it the right way. Never screwed nobody over. Just worked hard. Brought his lunch pail to work. And clocked in, and I'm happy for my brother. And anything he needs from me, I'm here.
And that's the only thing we've heard as well. We just had Dalla just rolled through a few weeks ago when Rand did, or a couple months ago when Rand did his battle rap event in January, and he spoke a little bit about Hit Row, and he had nothing but good things to say for Swerve as well. But now that you brought it up, I mean, I gotta get a prediction from you. Obviously, I would imagine you're rolling with Swerve, but what are your thoughts on what we're going to see at Forbidden Door with Swerve and Ospreay? Because I ain't going to hold you up. I've said it on this show multiple times. I think right now in the current landscape of wrestling right now, as far as who I like to watch in the ring, Ospreay's got to be right up there as like one of my favorite guys to see in the ring right now. Has been for a long time. I love the stuff he did in New Japan. I'm so happy to see him finally over in the States in like a stateside company versus New Japan. Not that you couldn't see New Japan, but I just feel like, even to your point with what you said, a talent like his is somebody that needs to be on like the biggest stages. And let's be honest, the biggest stages are AEW and WWE, that kind of story. And I think, like you said, to your point with him and Swerve, with them having the history that they do, and, Will kind of really just kind of stamping his feet down as a singles guy here in America, I just feel like this is a perfect title defense for Swerve if you really think about it. And I say that in this sense. Like, you've got Swerve, who is new as champion, a guy who a lot of people have said for a long time should be champion, or at least is up there on that level of champion. Will Ospreay, you got on the other end, who, obviously everybody's been talking about him like the big legend, because for up until recently, he'd only really been in Japan and England and all that stuff. To me, I see this match as you've got like the one side, which is kind of like the, not internet darling, because he's past internet darling, but you got the one side in Will Ospreay, who the IWC and all that hypes up. And then on the other side, you've got Swerve, who, like you said, everybody knew with Hit Row what he was capable of. People know have said what he was capable of up until he won the title. And a guy in Swerve now who I think is trying to really cement and prove his worth and build that legacy for himself. How do you think that this match plays out? Do you think that a lot of the aerial stuff will get pulled out as styles make fights like we talk about in fights? Or what do you think this match is going to look like?
One, I say this with 100% no bias, because I try not to be biased on these things. Swerve is kind of grandfathered in, so I don't try to give my opinion about him wrestling wise, because people know our close relationships. So everybody knows I'm gonna ride with him, regardless. But if I don't say him, on an unbiased opinion, I think Will Ospreay is the best in the world right now. I think Will Ospreay is as an absolute monster. I think that's my favorite wrestler. You know what I mean? Not including my bro, and I don't even count him, because that could be a bias.
What's
answer.
known doesn't have
unbiased answer. I think Will Ospreay's it, bro. Yeah, I think Will Ospreay is absolutely phenomenal, bro. I think that dude has talent on his pinky. I think he is absolutely phenomenal in the ring, and I think this match is just going to be I know you, you know me, you know what I mean? What you could do, I could do better type thing, and I think they're just going to go. They're going to go all out. I think they're going to go all out. And I think that it's going to be it's going to be a story of the mentor and the mentee going at it, and seeing what has Will learned from that Swerve didn't teach him. And then for Swerve, it's like, okay, I still got some bag of tricks that he hasn't seen yet. So I think that's what the match is going to come down to. And it's going to be a balance. I think it's going to be some aerial stuff, but it's also going to be a lot of ground stuff. It's going to be a good mixed bag of both. But I do think they're both going to go hard. I see some false finishes. I see, you know what I mean? I see Will fighting to the very end. And I see Swerve trying to do anything to keep him down, staying within the rules, but doing anything to keep him down for the win.
Oh, I think this is going to be a banger. I think we're still going to see a lot more unfold even before we get to Forbidden Door, because like even if you pay attention to Dynamite Wednesday, you know, Swerve talked about it. He said, you know, what if I want to make this personal? Look at what being the champion's done to me, and talking about how he's got, you know, he looks like he's got the bloodshot eyes and everything. And you know, to Will's credit, I've been really impressed by a lot of the promo work. I never really took Ospreay as a talker, and he's gotten bruv over like nobody's business. So, like you said, I feel like
he killed it last week. That promo last week he killed it.
Right, and nobody would have ever expected that from him when he was in New Japan. And it's almost like since he's come to AEW, it's kind of just been like all of a sudden he figured out that he can talk on a mic, and it's been cool to see that. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I'll be honest though, I sense some fuckery is going to happen in this match, because let's not forget that Will Ospreay is still the international champion, and something tells me, because we've seen a few people now try to have beef with him, I feel like somebody like that's going to get involved. I feel like we're going to see I think we're going to see a good match back and forth up to like a certain point, and I don't know who it is, but I feel like somebody's going to get involved, and we're going to see some fuckery. But I think that this match is going to beyond steal the show. It's definitely one of the ones that I'm looking forward to most on Forbidden Door. But speaking of Swerve, another thing that y'all have been doing have been doing for a long time and killing it. If you guys haven't done it and already checked it out, you got to go check out the Swerve City Podcast. Talk to me a little bit about that. What's new on the show? What's some of the episodes or stories that you guys have gotten to tell that are sticking out to you lately? What's new with Swerve City?
I think our show is branching out of just wrestling in certain ways. I think that's a good thing, because it could bring all lights to our show. Obviously, you know, if people know our journey, we've been in the Indies, we've been to WWE, now we're at AEW, and I think that. Excuse me. Sorry. I think the show has great momentum. Honestly, I think the show has great momentum. I think the once a month thing has been good, because it gives people time to build up to see, you know what I mean, see the episodes that we want. We just did Adam Copeland, which was a great, phenomenal interview. Obviously, Will. I'm looking forward to us to get big guests outside of wrestling too. I want my childhood heroes. My childhood heroes already interviewed two of them, just Music Soul Child and Rashad Evans. So those two I got.
We just got to have Rashad on our show as well. Great. So hell yeah.
Phenomenal dude, man. I love that brother, man. Love him.
Favorite Rashad
hopefully
fight?
He lives not he lives. Oh, my favorite fight with him, obviously Chuck Liddell, bro.
Yeah, damn it, I was there at that fight, dog.
Yeah.
That was my 16th birthday present.
Yeah, obviously Chuck Liddell. I wanted him to beat John. I want him to beat John Jones so bad too. But I want to interview. I got to interview them too. So now I want to interview Allen Iverson, my favorite athlete of all time. God rest his soul. We'll never get to Kobe. God rest his soul. Never get to Kobe. But Allen Iverson, give me Allen Iverson and Ken Griffey Jr. and I'm good, bro. I'm good. Like
those
would definitely be heroes, man.
I can't hold you up, dude. It's so wild that you said Rashad, because I just saw that on social media, and we just got to have him on because shout out to past guests of the show, his godson Devin Smith, who had that nasty spinning back kick knockout for LFA. We had him on, and he just had Rashad come in and pop in on the show, and I had to put Rashad up on game and tell him I was there all those years ago at the fight with Chuck. So I totally can relate with that one because that was a real full circle thing for me to get to have him on the show as well. So that's a dope one. But with that being said, man, I mean, you're also doing Teasy's Table. Like I was telling you before we got to start the show, I got to check out your interview with Marina Shafir. Tell me a little bit about what you've got cooking over there. Talk to me about that interview. What were some of your biggest takeaways, and do you got anything else coming up on the horizon with it?
Yes. So Teasy's Table, I want to differentiate from the Swerve City Podcast. As in, I wanted to make this more like a self-help, not a self-help, but more of a personal show. I try not to bring up wrestling much unless they request it on certain things because I want it to be more about the person. So I ask a lot more personal questions. I really enjoy it. I'm trying to find more ways to give more episodes to people. I don't know if I'm gonna start live streaming. I don't know, but I gotta have a purpose on what I'm talking about instead of just hopping on camera to do it. I gotta have a reason. So I think that I think it's pretty cool. I will definitely ramp up the content somehow. I just have to figure out what lane I want to do and what feels right within my spirit. Because I'm not just going to do it to do it. But I think that the Marina episode was really good. She got to open up more than she ever has. And I think that's been my gift is being able to get people to open up. You know what I mean? Which has always been my powerful gift. Thank God for this. Almost got my associates in communications. So I've mastered. I've always aced public speaking. Anything with speaking classes, I've always did great. And my teacher always said, man, you're a great communicator. So that is something that I've always tried to do on this show is to be a great communicator and talk to people. And Marina opened up. Kevin Knight opened up. Kiera Hogan opened up and Aubrey Edwards. So, the next few guests, maybe outside of this next one, I'm going to try to get a few people outside of wrestling. I'm actually going to get Rashad on Teasy's Table too because I'm actually going to go down to Miami and start doing some training with him. I never trained mixed martial arts in my life.
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
I'm just doing it really. I'm really just doing it to get healthy, and I'm doing it just to learn, just to try something new. I'm always going to throw my hat in the bucket and say, okay, let's just see what happens. So I'm going to try to link with Rashad once a month for 2 days and just get my ass whipped and see what happens.
Dude, that's going to be dope.
I've
You know what I mean?
I've grown
Just
up
try
around
it.
that shit for years, dude. You're gonna love it.
Everybody tells me that. Everybody says that.
Don't get me
Everybody says
wrong.
that.
The
And
first
I
few
look forward
times you
to
do it,
trying
like I
something
mean, I'm
new.
sure you tried it out when you were with them, but first few times you do it, it's gonna kick your ass. But it's I'm actually just starting to get back to getting the gym now that I've got a little bit of an earlier schedule as well. Like for those that have followed the show, I have a purple belt in jiu-jitsu myself and fought a few times boxing and have trained with guys in UFC and Bellator and all those things. Speaking of which, if you guys are here in the Michigan area, make sure you go down to Motor City Casino tomorrow night and watch last week's guest, Drew All Day Murray, make his return to the boxing ring down at the casino this weekend before something tells me you might just see him inside a bare knuckle ring, but you didn't hear that first. But we're gonna get down and go see some fights there. But it was like I said, it was wild because his godson. So if you're training down there with him, I'm sure you'll run into him. Devin Smith is a guy from here in Michigan, and we've rocked with him for quite a while. He was training out of Murcielago out there, but now he lives out there with Rashad and is training with all them. So. Like I said, that was definitely a cool one for me. I remember going to Atlanta to go see that fight and seeing the likes of Herschel Walker and everybody else in that fight. So, Rashad is definitely one of the OGs. But, now that we're talking a little bit about MMA, I got to know, man, do you keep up with it at all? Are you a fan of the sport? Like, do you watch like boxing or any of the combat sports?
Yes, I'm a big boxing guy more than MMA. Kind of lost touch with MMA. I still know who people are, but not as much as I do boxing. Like I just saw the Tank Dave, the Tank and Frank fight. I just saw that.
That was bad. He beat the shit out of him.
Haney and Garcia. Yeah, that was bad. So I watch a lot of boxing.
Did you hear the news with Garcia this morning?
Shields at yes, I did. Suspended for a year. Yep.
And they overturned that fight to a no contest.
Not surprised. Yep, absolutely. And Devin Haney said he wants to run it back when he comes back in a year, so he can get a fair one. So, I don't know. The only thing I understand there's politics in UFC. I understand, but we see more fights we want to see in UFC than boxing. Boxing, there's a lot of ducking.
That's always been the problem with boxing.
And a lot the politics. Yeah, the politics, and I've never agreed with these 3 divisions for one belt.
Tank is a beast.
WBC, WBA. I never liked the whole 3 belts in one division. I mean, 3 belts in one division. Heavyweight champion got 3 belts. The light heavyweight champion, the super middleweight, it's just causing more for politics. Like, okay, if you're 140, then you go to 147, then you go to 154, then 160, and it's like it just ends up being too much sometimes. It's like, we want to see, we want to see Canelo fight the best. We want to see Frank fight the best. We want to see Boots fight the best. You know what I mean? We want to see Tyson Fury fight the best. So we want to see, even though, Shakur Stevenson is kind of a boring fighter, we want to see him and Tank Davis. We want to see these fights, but it's too much politics, man.
Shakur,
too much ego.
I think Shakur is the fight to make for Tank right now. And I say that because
obviously they're not going to run that Ryan one back right now.
Or they're not going to do Tank and Ryan. And then so on top of that, you've also got, like you mentioned, you've got Shakur, and there's been a few other names thrown around. But I mean,
let's be honest. I mean, if Tank goes in there and let's say him and Shakur fight next, and he goes in there and destroys Shakur, at that point, I mean, Tank's running into a problem of where there's only so many people for him to be able to fight as well. And I mean, to your point, that's one of the problems when it comes to boxing versus MMA. I mean, MMA, we do tend to see some of the bigger fights, but I mean, dude, it even happens over there. Like, we were just talking about it on the MMA side of things. Everybody's been so hype about Conor McGregor coming back, and now they said that is that fight falling out. Philly B chiming in the comments. See, now that's an interesting topic to talk about briefly. So obviously, as people that follow the show know, I do commentary for a lot of the fights. So I keep up on a lot of what's going on in the different states and things like that. So here in Michigan, they've been implementing a few more of the weight classes that you don't see in the UFC. Like, you've got super lightweight, which would be 165. You've got cruiserweight, which is right before you're going to light heavyweight. Basically, the buffers in between, like the big jumps in between 170 to 85, 155 to 170. I think all those things are very good for MMA. I just don't know if I think that I could ever see the UFC fully pulling the trigger, because it's something that Joe Rogan's talked about for years, but a lot of the weight classes they're implementing would be this like boxing weight classes and things like that. While I think that it would help in some cases, because think of, like, God rest his soul, but think of a guy like Anthony Rumble Johnson, right? Think about how long he tried to make 170. That guy was fucking 3 sizes too big for 170. And then he ended up fighting at 185, 205 heavyweight. Like, if there were more weight classes like that, and then there's always those guys in between 155 and a 170, where if there was a 165 pound division, they'd be fucking killers. But then when you get to 170, they're like the smaller side of it. Like, think of like a guy like Colby Covington. That guy would be perfect at 165, although right now I think he's too busy chasing around Trump, but that's a story for another time. But like I said, I think we're in for a couple of crazy fights with all that said. But now that I know that you keep up with the fights, man, I would be remiss if I don't ask about it, bro. You got to tell me. We just heard that the rumors are true, and Jake Paul is going to fight Mike Perry in place of where the Mike Tyson fight was going to happen on July 20th. You got to tell me, how does Jake Perry fare in there against a guy like Platinum Mike Perry?
I used to think that some of these fights were setups. I used to think that. I used to think like a lot of people like, all right, they're just doing this, and then he's gonna.
That Woodley one's hard to think there wasn't.
Then when that's what I'm saying. When the Woodley fight happened, I'm like, all right, how much you paid him to take that fall? How much you paid him?
But then again, he did get the shit knocked out of him too.
So I'm like, look, if you give me $3-4 million and you got to lay it in on a right hook or a left hook, fuck it, I'll do it. But make it look real. Like, I think that I think like Mike Tyson, as much as I love him, the man is old. You know what I mean? Like, it's not 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we're having a different conversation. This now, I was like, why is Mike doing this? I was never a fan of it. I love Mike Tyson. I love him. But nah. I think Jake's probably gonna try to find some way to get this fight, bro. I think they're gonna try some way to let make Jake win. Some way.
But here's
somehow,
the thing,
bro.
right?
I think he's got right.
Here's the part that's interesting with that, though. Remember, Mike Perry is like the killer for BKFC right now.
Like, that's the thing that makes this fight so interesting to me, because like Mike Perry, they said just made $600,000 in 1 minute when he knocked out Thiago Alves. So my point to saying that is that BKFC has put so much money into him. What happens if this motherfucker goes in there and gets caught by Jake Paul and does go face flat? Like, that's the thing. It's the same fear that I had as when Tyron Woodley went in there. That was my concern. And to your point with Mike Tyson, here were my two biggest issues with that. Number one, the obvious one, like you said. Number one, Mike Tyson's damn near 60 years old. Him taking a punch from a kid who's 28 is insane. Number two, how in the hell they got any commission, whether it was Texas or whoever the hell it was. Shout out to everybody that's joining the stream. Make sure you hit that like button, share screen, all that stuff, share it, all that good stuff. But with that being said, the thing that scares me, how the fuck did anybody sanction this to where it was going to actually go on Mike Tyson's pro record? So you're telling me if he loses this shit, Jake Paul could say that he beat Mike Tyson, and they weren't even 3-minute rounds, they were only 2-minute rounds? Like, hot damn. I'm kind of almost glad this is the fight we're getting instead, dude.
Me too. I'm happy too. I'm happy this is the fight. Like, one thing that I did learn about warriors and like people like that is sometimes you got to save them from themselves. And you can't have those fighters cannot have yes men around them. They have to have people that's real with them. Nah, don't do this shit, bro. This is not a good look. You know what I mean? Like, don't do this. You might be mad at me. You'll get over it. I'm advising you not to do this shit because it's not a good look. All money ain't good money. All publicity ain't good publicity. And you don't really need it as Mike Tyson. You're already the name. You can walk down the street and, you know, you're one of the most recognizable faces in the world, even to the young people that might not have seen you at all. They know your face at least. So I don't know, man. I think Jake's probably going to win this fight, but
you got Jake over.
I'm
Mike
just
Perry.
waiting to see how long they're going to go.
Interesting.
After the Tyron Woodley fight, bro, like anything's up in the air to me. Like, I'm not surprised anymore. Not saying I don't want him to lose, because I do. I'm rooting for him to lose every fight. I am. But I'm not surprised. Like, with the way boxing is, I'm just not surprised. Like, I if Tank Davis fights Lomachenko in November, I'll be surprised. I hope it happens.
That's the fucking fight, dude. You talk about what's the fight to make it 130. I want to see Tank versus Lomachenko. I want to see I'd like to see Tank versus Shakur. Like, there's a few fights to be made, dude, that I'd love to see happen. And I mean, can I just put this out in the air? Can we put some fucking respect back on Lomachenko's name? Like, let's not forget that guy was like killing everybody and then had to step away because he had to go fight for his country. Comes back after being in the army for however long it was, a year or whatever it was. Comes back, gets his belts back, makes Kambosos look like a bum, and then now is right in line to fight Tank or whoever's next, man. I
I'm just saying, if I could put anything out into the ether, into the universe, as far as boxing goes, give me Tank Lomachenko, and I'll buy that shit on pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think that's the next fight, bro. I think that's where Tank has to go. I think it's that.
If he wants to keep building his legacy, he has to.
Yeah, he has to. I think that's where he's gonna go, bro. I think it's Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko's next. I think that Lomachenko, then possibly Stevenson. People don't want him to fight Stevenson because they think Stevenson's going to run the whole fight. But I have to see about that. That was kind of more up in the air. But the Lomachenko fight, I want to see. I want to see Lomachenko. I want to see that. I want to see what happens with that fight, and I'm actually looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward, back in the days, obviously the heavyweights was the division. They were boxing, the heavyweights, you know what I mean? Now, when like the Roy Joneses and stuff came in, it started with like him. Well, it was, back then, you had the Sugar Rays and Ray Leonards and all that. Then, you had the Ali's at the heavyweight and stuff. Then it went to the middleweights and lightweights and welterweights.
I was gonna say,
then
don't
back to heavyweight for a long period
dog.
of time. yeah. I was gonna get. I can't skip the 80s. Then it went to Tyson, and then and then after Tyson and them and all them had their peak, then it went to Roy Jones and all them, and now it's back at that that lightweight, the light welter middleweight era. You know what I mean? And I'm just looking forward to like we see Deontay Wilder can't even he needs to stop.
I think
bro.
he's done.
Like Deontay Wilder needs to stop. He's finished. He's done. His heart's not in it no more, bro. When I saw that exercise, you saw that exercise he was doing with the stick. I was like, he's finished.
He's been even his
to be honest, I've never seen a boxer do that. I've never seen a boxer train that. I've been in boxing gyms. I've never seen that kind of training before. I don't know. Is that reflexes? I don't know what that does.
So here's my thing, bro. Like, I've been around fighting. I took my first fight when I was 13 years old. I'll be 32 this year. So, I've been around that stuff for a long time. And the one thing you always notice with people, and something that I've noticed a little bit in the interviews you watched with Deontay Wilder, I got all the respect in the world for the guy, and I'm a big fan of the guy. But he's looked punchy for a while. If you're really being honest, bro, he's looked punchy for a while. Like, if you listen to the stuff he says in press conferences and like his answers to things, you can see when guys have really kind of racked that up. And then let's add to it that he's fighting at heavyweight, which is like the most dangerous weight class in the world to be getting hit in the head by another human being. I'm with you. I don't know that I want to. I don't know that I want to see. I don't know that I want to see them fight again, dude. I mean, I'd like to see, as far as heavyweight. I mean, it's sad to say it because it's really been the story of like the last 5 or 6 years, at least at heavyweight. But I feel like at heavyweight, the only real fight to make in boxing wise is going to be Fury and Usyk running it back. But Usyk even made history this year. He has become the only person to win the undisputed title, win all the belts at cruiserweight and heavyweight. And man, I tell you, Fury's lucky he made it out of that fight without it being finished, man, because if he wasn't so tall that he was able to catch himself on the ropes, man, his legs were gone in that 11th round. So the fact that he even made it out is a crazy one. But yeah, the fight game is a crazy one. But speaking of the fight game, I got to tell you about our other sponsors before I get to these last few questions we've got for the show. Shout out to our sponsors, Mitten Muay Thai. As you can see, I got to be on the commentary for the last fight of this. You see past against the show, Reese Kelly. You got to not blink when you're at a Mitten Muay Thai show because somebody might be going to sleep. So make sure you get those tickets. They're going on sale June 27th. The event is going to be August 9th. Make sure you check it out if you're in the Michigan area. Stay tuned. We'll definitely have some of the fighters for that show. But, dude, I know you're a wrestling fan just like me, so I had to get your thoughts on some of this stuff because we haven't gotten to talk about any of this stuff. So before I let you get out of here, I got to know, what are your thoughts on
what happened at Clash at the Castle, bro. I know you've seen at least the clips of what happened to Drew McIntyre with CM Punk, and then we had Cody and AJ. Did you get to check out any of that, and what'd you like if you did get to check any of it out?
Yeah, I watched the majority of the Castle show. I think Drew McIntyre is the best storyline going in the company right now, in my opinion. I do believe that it's been. I don't think they were prepared. I don't think they were 100% prepared for not having Roman on their television, like full time, like part time at least, because it's a disparity on SmackDown. SmackDown definitely dropped a little bit to me since Roman's been fully gone.
For sure.
I've come to this realization of me being a wrestling fan.
Oh boy, which one is this one?
Some people, and I always used to hear this, but I didn't actually kind of believe it until certain people got the belt. Certain people are way better being the chaser than being the champion. They don't need a lot of title runs. They need to have a few, but their career really needs to be about chasing. And I remember Shawn Michaels said this. He said, I was always the better wrestler when I was chasing than when I was the WWF champion. You know, I was always better chasing. The boyhood dream has come true. Like, I was better being a champion a few times, but always being on the chase. My matches was better than when I was champion. I kind of feel like Cody Rhodes is like that. I feel like he's a better chaser than a champion, in my opinion. Just my opinion. I think that it's still early, but I like Cody when he's better on the chase than, you know what I mean, than where it is him now. I do like I think that, like I said, I think the Drew thing's hilarious. I like it's interesting to see what they're doing with Damian Priest, this whole Judgment Day, this whole softcore porn shit with Dominic is absolutely hilarious. I think that's absolutely hilarious. I can't wait till Rhea comes back and see what happens with see what happens with that. But I think that it's there's certain strong suits. The last thing I have to say about the show, I'm interested to see where this Wyatt thing goes.
That's the other one I wanted to ask you about, because J-Bone has been keeping us right along with all the QR codes, and like him and his daughter like went and dissected them all to like kind of see where each one was taking us. And I mean, obviously such a sad thing to have to lose Bray Wyatt like that, but dude, I can't lie. First of all, I love the presentation of it. Second of all, being like a horror movie guy, I thought like just the destruction, the way that they had that like all in the different areas as they were like walking out to the ring, and how like when they got to the gorilla that was all destroyed and there was one of them there, and then as you're walking through there, Gable looks like he's fucking laying there dead and there's another one there. I like the choice of who they had in it. Now here's the question: what did you think of the debut of the Wyatt Six, and do you think that so I've heard this debate on a lot of different things. Shout out to our guys on Busted Open, past guests of the show, Dave LaGreca and Ryan McKinnell and all those guys. But I've heard a lot of people throw this. Yeah, for sure, man. I'm loving to see all the dope ass stuff that he's getting to do. That guy is such a good dude. But something that they brought up that I feel like is an interesting talking point that I never really thought of when they were first announcing that the Wyatt Six were going to come back, or that there was a rumor that they could come back. Do you think that with a act like this, do you think it serves it better for it to be more along the lines of like what we saw of the Wyatts when they first came out? So like when Bray first came out with the Wyatt family with Harper and Rowan and Strowman, where they had that like Devil's Rejects kind of like trippy vibe to them, but they were still human? Or do you think that it needs to be somewhat of a cross between something like that and I guess what we saw of the Fiend? Because Uncle Howdy still got the mask and everybody had masks and stuff like that on, but now we know who the other people are between Dexter Lumis, Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan's back, and then you've got Bo or Uncle Howdy. We still don't know if there's going to be a sixth, or does Bray count as the sixth from the grave? What do you think's the best thing for this to go?
Ooh, good question. And I sat back and I thought about this a lot. I think that it will be a combination. I think it will be a combination. But I think that my question is, in 2024, how does supernatural characters work in wrestling? That is my question, because The Undertaker could still work for a long period of time because it was a mystique. He can promo, but he could also work in the ring, but that was one character. Eventually you had Kane, but eventually you had to open up different levels of Kane's personality for it to last. Eventually Undertaker had to switch to American Badass. And also too, this is the thing that I always say, the more supernatural characters that you have, the more you got to protect people. So if this is going to suit the supernatural horror gritty way, you have 5 people you have to protect. So you have to protect those characters, especially while they're debuting. So I'm interested to see where this goes, man. My biggest puzzle piece is, where does supernatural characters in wrestling go in 2024? That is my biggest puzzle piece of where it goes, because it's a different world now. So I want to see how it works.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it, because if there was one knock that I feel like there was when we're talking about The Fiend, it's like when you saw him in the Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins, and he had to like beat the shit out of him with a hammer and everything else to win the match. I feel like if they don't do a good enough job of like keeping the balance between like, okay, we know that they're human, but there's something off about these motherfuckers. Like, you know, they got that little bit of the supernatural mystique, like you said, but there has to be that level of the humanizing of them too, because if you don't, then how does anybody beat them? Because then at that point you got at least 5 as of right now that are all supernatural like that. And I like the fact that there was only 5 too. That's another thing that popped out to me too. I like the fact that there was only 5, because now it leaves like a couple of options. Either you could say that Bray is the 6th member posthumously, you know, with obviously it being his vision, but that you also got to think about Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss has never come back, and she was associated with that as well. I mean, I feel like she could fit into that real well, although if you're not going to go with Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross is like the perfect person for that, I feel like.
So you're going to have 2 female supernatural characters?
I'm saying if they don't, no, I'm saying if they're not planning on just keeping it Nikki, I'm just saying for the story wise of it, because you still technically, since they're saying the Wyatt 6, you could still have another member. I wonder if at any point do they try to incorporate any of that.
Probably eventually. I think it'll eventually happen. I just want to see the longevity of it. That's all. And that's going to take time, and I'm not rushing anything. I just want to see where it is a year from now, 6 months from now. You know what I mean?
Phil says he'd rather have Alexa. Fans, okay.
You know, he would rather have Alexa?
He said Alexa. He would rather Alexa be in the spot than Nikki Cross.
I definitely think star power wise, it would make more sense. Star power wise.
But here's the other question. Even to that point, I agree. Star power wise, it would help more. But do you think that would kind of throw off the vibe with the people that they have in there? Because when you think about it, they really got a bunch of people who have all kind of been up there to some degree and then kind of just went back down. Because you think like Joe Gacy had Schism over in NXT.
I agree.
So then, oh no, then I got it mixed up. He goes, he'd rather have. He said would rather not have Alexa. Okay, I missaid it. Okay, yeah, because that's one thing I did like about this is I feel like all the people that they have in it, except for Rowan, because Rowan has like the original like connection to Bray. I like that the people that they have in it are all people who have not necessarily been completely forgotten about, but think about it. You got Nikki Cross, who's a former champion, but nobody really thinks about that. You got Joe Gacy, who had his little run in NXT, but anybody who knows what he was doing out on the indies, that guy's been dope for a long time. You got Dexter Lumis, who kind of falls right into that as well. Obviously, like I mentioned, I think it's great that they have Rowan back in there. I kind of like that vibe, man, but we're going to have to see how it all plays out. But I had to see what you thought of the Wyatt Six because, like we were talking about, I think wrestling is best when it's in its stories, and I just hope that, unlike the run that they had kind of started with Bray and Uncle Howdy, now clearly that could have been because he was having his health issues, how it kind of seemed like it was like they got him started and everybody was so hot when he came back, and then it was just like start, stop, start, stop. I'm just hoping that now we're at the point that they're actually going with the Wyatt Six. Like you said, I want to see them have like a full run before we like stop anything. Give them a chance to fully get this out there and see what that's going to look like and see what that's going to hit. And then, get to where we're at. But dude, we've been talking for a hot minute. Before we talk about the album release party to get you out of here, I got to get your thoughts as a hip hop guy, bro. Everybody is talking about the concert last night. Shout out to our guy Bootleg Kev that was in the building with that. You got to tell me, what are your thoughts on this whole Kendrick versus Drake thing, and why did Kendrick obliterate Drake like that?
Drake should have quit when he was ahead.
Damn.
He's got no words.
Damn. Let me tell you something. Kendrick Lamar has been my favorite rapper since Section 80, so that goes back to 2010. He's been my favorite rapper. Him and Royce the 5'9" have been my two favorite rappers.
Oh yeah, shout out to
Royce. Kendrick Lamar made me so proud with this, and I ought to be honest with you, I like Drake's music. I've tailed off some of it recently for his last few projects, but I've never had no issues with Drake's music. I always bumped it, especially his earlier stuff. While Kendrick, I bump every album Kendrick has. This diss was a masterclass. This battle was a masterclass of how you beat somebody in a battle because you attack them from different angles. The thing I kept saying when Drake was going to diss Kendrick, I said this from the beginning because me being a music industry dude, I know how these industry politics work. And the first thing that I said, and I did some digging around asking people, I'm like, what the hell is he going to say about Kendrick? There's nothing to say because there's nothing out there. Unless you have substantial evidence that can damn his character, and it's substantial evidence or something that is so damning.
Hot take.
It's, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. And then Drake has a lot of ammo you can use on him. A lot. Because he's been a public figure. He's been out there. There's been stories. There's been rumors. There's been a lot of stuff he did that he messed up on for damn near a decade and a half. So there's a lot to use. And Kendrick just dissected it. I heard Euphoria. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
That was tough. That was tough.
6'6". Yeah, that was tough. 6'16". Then Meet the Grams was diabolical. A diabolical assassination. And then the kick over the dead body was Not Like Us. And I'm like, yo, that concert last night was one of the best things I ever seen. I haven't felt goosebumps like that. Why? I felt goosebumps. And I can't tell you the last time as a hip hop artist I felt goosebumps. And I felt excited watching a hip hop show. I haven't had goosebumps maybe since, oh my God, it's been over a decade. I can't tell you because I'm so numb to everything that I'm watching. I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is cool. This is fire. Like, I remember hearing Good Kid, Mad City and getting goosebumps. I remember hearing To Pimp a Butterfly and getting goosebumps. I remember that feeling of excitement. Like I haven't felt that in a long time. When I saw that performance last night, and when they all came on stage and he did Not Like Us 5 times. I'm like,
that
this
was what was crazy.
This is
about
what
it,
I know. That's Drake. Listen, bro. My name's Monteasy. I know you don't know me. I know you're a platinum selling rapper. You are one of the most successful artists to ever do this, and I'm just a little old Monteasy. Take a break, bro. Just chill for a bit. Don't let Kendrick have this run. Don't make no music for a while. Stay low. And then when you come back on your R&B and pop shit. Don't say nothing tough for a while. just chill. The temperature isn't warm right now on you, brother. This is the first time people are really, really turning on you in this decade and a half run. Yeah, you took the loss to Pusha T, but people kind of move forward. This is worse.
And
this is worse
what
than
made
you
it
were hiding
worse
the child.
to me
This
was
is
like the quickness with how quick Kendrick was coming out with it. Because, like you said, banger songs,
agreed.
But the way they were just like boom, 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 and then Drake's trying to come back, and like you said, there's just so much more ammo on Drake than there is with Kendrick. And like you said, when I was watching some of that show last night, dude, and bro, like when he did that shit 5 straight times and that crowd was singing along to that shit the way it was, dude. Like, dude, you might have just gave Kendrick the shot in the arm, dude. But hey, this shit's dope. It reminds me a lot of the stuff from when I was younger with hip hop. I disagree with Phil's point. Their beef is the reason why I don't like modern hip hop. I feel like it kind of gave a shot in the arm to hip hop in a lot of ways too, because I feel like I agree, and I feel like it comes from two ends of the spectrum when you think, because like you got Drake, who everybody knows that Drake's good. We're not trying to argue that Drake's not good because I enjoy Drake's music too, but there's levels to this shit, and you saw that when we're going down the diss tracks, Kendrick was just coming for his neck, and I feel like it gave Kendrick's career, you know, the shot in the arm. Not that he necessarily needed it, but it reminded motherfuckers what time it is with Kendrick. So I agree with you, and I think if I were in Drake's camp, I'd be telling him to sit down for a little while and then, you know, regroup and we'll see where we go. But I think after last night, it's pretty safe to say that might have been the nail in the coffin as far as Drake versus Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, it's over, bro. I think the one mistake Drake made, the only mistake, I think 2 things, was trolling on the internet, and I think not making a direct response to Kendrick. I think he needed to not forget about addressing this person and that person on a song. Get to them later. You know what I mean? You can get to Ross and all of them later, or you can say a line or 2 and then kind of leave it. But obviously Kendrick is not a fan of you, brother. That's the most personal out of all this. Out of all these beefs, like Metro and all that, I don't think it's to the point where they ain't never going to work together again. But I think Kendrick is dead set, like, yo, I am not working with this dude. I don't care how old I am. I'm not going on tour with this dude. I'm not doing anything. You know what I mean? But, you know, we'll see. Now, the one thing I will respond to Phil about is, see, I think about other genres. See, hip-hop, it could be, there's a lot of subtle shots that rappers take at each other, but eventually a battle is going to happen, and whether you choose to do it or not is just a part of the culture. Like, in rock music, guys don't really make songs about each other, but they will be open honest. So one thing I do know about like the rock genre is that they will definitely be open and honest if they don't like another band or not. They will say if that shit sucks. They will say, oh, I'm not a fan of the music. I think it sucks. I don't like their singer. Now, it might lead to fights backstage and they might hate each other, but you know, the songs they write about might be different than, you know, them actually going to blows backstage. But they say how they feel. Rappers, it can be a little bit more subtle. It can be more, you know what I mean? He sneak dissing me. What do he say? What do you mean? And then eventually a battle happens. So I wish a lot more rappers took the rock star approach and just said how they felt. And, you know, and just see, you know what I mean, see where it is. But, you know, People play the even direct game, so even keel game. They don't really take a side either way. But yeah, Kendrick
jumps
won
out
that
to
battle.
me on the
Easy.
rock side. To your point, is have you ever seen any of the stuff between like Skid Row and Sebastian Bach?
That one, I would do my Googles on it. I like watching stuff on like rock band beefs and why bands break up. I love those videos.
So Sebastian Bach was the lead singer for Skid Row for a while, but then he kind of got himself caught up too much in the rock and roll lifestyle. And it's still in 2024, you still hear him talk about it. Like he wants to get back with Skid Row, but Skid Row wants nothing to do with it because he had gotten too messed up with like drugs and all the other kind of stuff. So now he's been doing solo stuff, basically like shitting on the band and this, that, and the other. But it's like you said, they aren't shy about it. I mean, speaking of rock guys, shout out to our guy, Chris Kale from Five Finger Death Punch, past guest of the show. They're getting ready to come through as well. But it's funny, like you said, how every genre of music, like there's just a different vibe to what the way things are handled. Like you said, rock guys aren't quiet about it, but you don't see like you said in the hip hop sphere where you see all the battle raps and all those kind of things. I like it because it keeps the different culture in between the genres and all that stuff. I got one more question that we just got in the comments that I figure we got to ask about because it's something we brought up earlier in the show. I mentioned that Shane Taylor is a big homie of ours, multiple time past guest of the show. You got to talk to me about this new theme song, bro. What was the vibe for that? Talk to me about going through that. What was the making the song process of that? And what's been the reception?
Well, Shane T hit me up and he said he wanted something new, but he wanted it to sound like a chant, like an anthem, like something people can get behind with hard drums, and something that when he came up with the STP hook idea. STP, that was all Shane Taylor's idea, the hook part. So I was like, okay, STP. So I hit up my homie Mike, who produced the beat, and Grammy nominated producer Mike Snell, and we came up with the idea. You know what I mean? STP, and then he just gathered everything. How you wanted something hard, a hard drum, a hard bass line, and a hard guitar that samples around that, so it sounds like an anthem. I wanted to make the wrestling version of that song, left, 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 right, left, kind of like that. But just in a wrestling way. So Shane T loved the record, and obviously AEW loved it. And man, I'm be honest with you, bro. The response to that has been absolutely incredible. Everybody's like, "Oh man, Teasy did it again. How does he keep doing it?" Like everybody keeps asking me that. Man, I just keep recording. I stay in the studio, man. I stay working. And we had a lot of fun doing that record. That was actually the first time in a long time I didn't write it like on phone. I did it off head. I just wrote it in my head and said it. Shane Taylor promotion, stepping in the ring, I'm explosive, right hand, and the commotion. I did line for line off memory. I just said it. I did one line, and I just kept going with it until I had it. But normally I write in my phone. I write in this phone, and then I record. Or I read off my lyrics. Or sometimes I go to composition notebook, do it the old school way, and write it. This one I did it off the memory, which I've never been good at, because I never applied myself to really do it off the memory. But on that one I did. So it came out really, really great, and it's one of my favorite theme songs I've done in a long time. I got an extensive catalog, and I listen to some stuff I made. I'm like, But that one, I had to come through on that one. And I'm very, very proud of that record. I'm very, very happy. And I'm glad he likes it too, man. You know what I mean? It's easy for people to be in the gym saying STP or wherever they're at. You know what I mean? Chanting it,
Hell yeah. I love to see it, man. I've been keeping up with what you've been doing with that. To Phil's point, Shane's been one of our homies since the very beginning of the show. He was probably one of the first bigger names that we ever had come on the show in the beginning. So to see him up there on AEW, I'd love to see some of the homies like JD Griffey and some of them guys, show up with him in STP. But I love the fact that they're finally getting a shot over there at AEW. I thought it was something that wasn't really getting utilized well once they brought Ring of Honor over. So like I said, I feel like they could be
And I like that they're adding like new flavor to it. I'm a big fan of Lee Moriarty, Anthony Agogo with him being the ex-boxer. I'd love to see what they can do with that. I hope STP gets, a good run with it, but I had to ask your thoughts on that because, like I said, obviously with us being big Shane Taylor guys, I had to ask about that. And to Phil's point, old school Shane Taylor fan, him and Keith Lee when they tagged in ROH, you're not wrong. The Pretty Boy Killers were some killers for real. But all right, man, I've talked your head off for a while. Before we let you get out of here, I mentioned it earlier in the show. You got the album release party coming with the homie Big Swole. If there's anything else you want to get out and let anybody know about Erica's Son too, please let us know.
Yes, Monteasy TV at gmail.com. Make sure you guys hit me up if you want any tickets to the show. If it's invite only, me and my manager will do our research and do our Carfax. If we rock with you, you're good to come through. Events happen this Sunday, June 23rd, on my 36th birthday. It is on my 36th birthday. The event is this Sunday.
Happy birthday, sir.
Make sure you guys thank you, brother. Make sure you guys stream Erica's Son 2 on all platforms right now. Thank you, Kyle, for checking it out. I've gotten the highest streaming debut I've ever had of a project has been off this. I hope it's lived up to the hype. Thank you to everybody who's listened to it, streamed it, put it on their TikTok. Let's continue to build this. This will be my last full project for a while until 3 comes out. There is no timetable on 3. I have no idea. I got to live a little bit. People already asked me about ES3. 2 just came out last week. I don't know. But make sure you guys check out 2, which is out right now. Is featuring the deluxe version, features Twister. The standard version obviously has Music Soul Child, a.k.a. known as The Hustle, on Pressure. It has Rich Boy. Throw some D's on there for you guys that don't know who that is.
Hell, my
Rich
God,
Boy.
take me back to high school shit.
Rich Boy selling that.
Shout out to Rich Boy, man. That's a good dude. It's a good brother. Swerve's on the album. My man Anthony King's on the album. Rich Lotto on the beats. So, on some beats. So make sure you guys check that out, man. And I'm glad the stream worked good, man. We got a great interview. We had a great conversation, man. And I'm glad we got to talk some boxing because I don't get to talk that much.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And I look forward to coming back, man.
Fuck yeah, you already know the door's always open. And speaking of boxing, I can let you guys in on a little secret. The GWOAT is making her way back to Detroit, going to go fight for another belt inside Little Caesars Arena come July 27th. And if you guys are in the Detroit area, or if you just hit that subscribe button wherever you're watching this, Knockouts and 3 Counts is going to be live in the building in person for the weigh-ins, for the press conference, and at the fight. So make sure you check this shit out. You never know what'll happen. We've gotten to chat with Clarissa a few times. I'm looking forward to being back there. I want to get her thoughts on this MMA fight since the last time we talked to her. It was right before she went to go fight over there for PFL. I want to see what her thoughts are on a fight with Savannah Marshall in the MMA cage. Lots to talk about. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You never know who we're going to run into. But you heard the man say it. Check out Erica's Son 2 on all the streaming platforms. And until next time and in the in-between time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out our sponsors, Mitten Muay Thai, Potter's Tree Service. Hit the links, do the thing. Until next time and in the in-between time, peace.